news now where Iranian media is saying that Iranian state radio and television building has been targeted. This is the moment. Just take a watch and a listen. This is the moment that Israeli airstrikes hit the Iranian state radio and television building. This has just been in the last few minutes. In fact, it happened as we were speaking to Tohed Asadi. Let's just take a listen.
آنچه که ملاحظه کردید صدایی که شنیدید فضای غبارآلود استادیوم.
So this was happening live on Iranian state TV as the Israeli airstrike happened. It was also when we were talking to our reporter Tohed Asadi. Tohed, can you tell us what more you're hearing from your end?
Well, this is a very developing story. Just a few minutes ago as we were live, and first of all, I have to apologize for this connection issues because we've got this internet connection issue from the time the Israeli strikes began. From the last time we spoke, we heard massive sounds of explosion in the capital. This is not something new. We have been hearing massive sounds of explosion over the past 2, 3, 4 days, I might say, across the capital from different parts. And now the news is coming out after the Israeli statement about the possibility of a strike on District 3 of Tehran, the Iranian capital. Now we hear reports about the attack on IRIB's buildings. IRIB is the Iranian state TV, or in Persian they call it Seda Sima, which was attacked by the Israeli strikes. And this is going to be a huge development, seeing that there are a lot of people working there, and now it runs the risk of many civilian casualties. And this is not.
So let's stop that right there. What's up, guys? So let's talk about it, right? I'm going to talk about this whole situation. Now, you know, you get a lot of, I kind of thought it was a nothing burger, but looks like shit just got real. You know, like, cause they were doing this thing where they would do like, you know, shooting shit up in the air and, you know, shooting out in the field and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is a nothing burger. But once they started bombing like TV stations and oil refineries, I was like, okay, shit just got real. This is the real deal. It's go time. And so, you know, you see a lot of like analysis. I like to wait and see. Like, I'm at the point now, I like to wait and see. I don't, you know, one day and a couple people shooting missiles, that's not enough for me. Or, you know, like, it's not enough. Like, people see Gaza and they're like, oh, it's World War III or Ukraine. I'm like, yeah, it is, but let's just wait. You know, let's wait till we get deep in this shit, right? Before we really start. Like me, I'm at the point now, I've been seeing this shit for, you know, 20 years. You know, ever since I got red pilled, right? I got red pilled back in the day by like David Icke and even Alex Jones, David Icke, Credo Mutwa, you know, Dick Gregory, people like that, you know, back in the day started, you know, watching different stuff, you know, just a whole list of different material. And, you know, Kwame and Tory, Malcolm X, you know what I mean? Like, these are the people that kind of like red pill me, you know what I'm saying? This list goes on and on. I mean, and so, but anyway, so I've been seeing this shit for, you know, 20 years. And there was times when I would be like, okay, this is, you know, something here, blah, blah, blah. And then, it, you know, the shit tamped down. And so when I saw all this going on, I said, you know what? I just want to wait for a while and just let this shit marinate. before I make a judgment call about which way the wind blowing. And once I watched like Iran, um, once they started bombing the Iranian facilities, and then when I still wasn't sold. It wasn't until I wasn't sold on this shit until I saw the Iranians bomb Israeli facilities. Like they were bombing like um, Israeli fuel terminals and refineries and military bases, and you had whole blocks getting wiped out in Tel Aviv, right, and places like that. And that's when I saw that I said, okay, shit just got real, right? That's when I realized I said, okay, this is the real deal. You know what I mean? And so stand by 1 second, guys. All right, so I'm back. So, and then this morning when I saw the Iranian TV station get, hit out live on air, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it right here, right? So, I mean, because the government is being utterly humiliated in front of the people, and the people, they gotta protect the people, or they're gonna lose legitimacy. So that means you gotta fight. That you know what I mean? You gotta fight. You gotta fight and defend your people. You gotta fight these people off. You gotta defend your borders and your sovereignty, or you lose legitimacy in front of the people, and then the whole thing collapses. So I was like, yeah, it's no getting around this. They gotta fight because they're trying to, at this point, they're trying to decapitate the government. And they're saying that they're not, but it's not true, right? You can't trust, Donald Trump. You can't trust Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, of course, if I gotta tell you that, like, yo, you're just a dumbass and there's no hope for you. You can't trust anything they say. They're gonna kill an Ayatollah if they can. I'm not sure how smart he is, but they're already talking about it, and they say, no, we're not going to do it. That means they are going to do it. The reason they put it out publicly that they're not going to kill the Ayatollah, was so that he would let his guard down. Just like they told the Iranians they would negotiate with them for a peace deal. They only did that so they would let their guard down. And when they did, what happened? They killed most of the, higher ranking officials that they could. Damn near up to the Ayatollah. And they probably knew where he was, but they was just waiting to see what was going to happen. And you got to look at it like this. If this dude, they sparked the revolution, they probably not going to totally capitulate. They're just not going to roll over for them. So this is, this is the big game. You know what I mean? This is the big game here. Because they're not going to give up the nuclear program. And now they want them to give up their missile program. The same missiles that's decimating parts of Tel Aviv and Israel. They want them to give that up too. So the likelihood of that is like zero. The likelihood of them giving up their missile program is zero. The likelihood of them probably giving up that nuclear program without a fight is zero. Because they know once they give it up, they're going to destroy them. Simple as that. They're going to totally decimate their ass. Because they may try to hold them off at this point until they finish the nuke. And say, listen, we got a nuke, you better back off. We'll nuke your ass, just like North Korea. Right? That's why they haven't fucked with Kim Jong-un, because he told them, listen, I'll nuke your ass. You better back off, fucker. And what happened? They backed off. And so you got to understand, like the Iranians know that's how the game is played now. They know, like, listen, if we give it up if we give up our nuclear technology and our ability to build, nuclear bombs to protect ourselves as a deterrent, if we give up our missile programs and delivery programs and whatever, they're going to wipe us within a matter of a couple of days. They're going to wipe us. They're going to do a Gaddafi. And they're trying to do it now. And they're probably going to kill a mullah. I mean, I'm thinking they know where this guy is, or they have an idea. They just want to make sure. And then they're going to hit him. He's done for. The problem with that is, it's like kicking a hornet's nest. Once you kill that mullah, once you kill the Ayatollah, there really is there's no off ramp for you. Because the people, even if the people aren't very religious, still that's part of, part of the leadership, the culture, the government, the symbolism of it. Even if they're not that religious, or they may not even particularly care for the government. Watching you wipe out their leadership is probably not going to go over well, regardless whether you support them or not. You know what I mean? It's going to make people uncomfortable. Right? It goes back to that whole thing in Iraq where they said we would be greeted as liberators once we killed off Saddam and all his people. How'd that work out? So you kill a mullah, you kill all the government officials in Iran, the president, the mullah, you wipe out all the heads of the military, the generals, different people. Then what? I mean, it goes back to Iraq where they said we will be greeted as liberators. Then you think you're going to be greeted as liberators? No. The whole world is watching that. They watched Iraq. They watched Libya. They watch you they put ISIS in charge of the guy from ISIS, second in charge, they made him the president of Syria. Everybody's watching that. They watched him commit a genocide in the Gaza Strip and kill 200,000 people, probably 50,000 children. And right now they just bombing them. Bombing people without no guns. People with no weapons and no guns just trying to get some food, they just bombing them with aircraft. That makes sense? If they not the devil, if they not Satan and the devil, then who is? Right? If they not the representatives of the Antichrist, Satan, and the devil, then who is? Somebody in Africa? Somebody in Hawaii? I mean, don't be stupid. You looking right at what you know it is, but you won't admit it to yourself. And it's right, it's prophetic, it's right in your Bible. Revelations 2:9. They proving it to you every day. I mean, you look at what they did to pretty much everybody in that area. And you have to understand, this whole thing is being sanctioned. Don't let them fool you. It's all double talk. Israel is a racist, Nazi, white supremacist settler colony that's being used. It's the head of the snake. It's the tip of the spear. All that peace talk, they backed by Europe. The European Union backs Israel. America backs Israel. The so-called collective West, right? Basically, white people. I mean, unless you stupid, let me just break it down. White people. It's a white colonial, just like America and just like South Africa. You could use that as an example, right? South Africa ain't in Europe, but there's an awful lot of goddamn white people there fucking over the people in that area, in Africa. Somehow they white, they indigenous all of a sudden, right? Black people can't be indigenous to Europe, but all of a sudden white people indigenous to South Africa, right? They like roaches. You can't get rid of them. They come in your country and take your shit. You can't get rid of them. They like roaches. I mean, it's the same thing. The same thing you seeing in Israel is the same thing as South Africa, same thing as, North Africa with the Arabs, the same thing as, it's just a colonial project. Same thing as Mexico, same thing as Brazil, same thing as fill in the blanks. Canada, Toronto, right? What happened to the Indians? It's the same thing. And they all support Israel. Why? It's the tip of the spear. It's the head of the snake. They try to pose to you like they trying to get control of the situation with Israel. It's the other way around. Israel is the head. Israel is doing what Europe and the United States, double speaking in Canada, and all of these white countries want you to do, want them to do. Israel is sticking to the plan. Make no mistake. And that's something that most people can't see. That's why Israel has to be destroyed. It has to be strategically defeated. Iran is doing the right thing by bombing the shit out of them. Fighting to the death and bombing the shit out of them for their survival. They had to be destroyed, strategically defeated. Because it's the head of the snake. They would like you to think that Israel is just an outlier. They would like you to think, well, Israel, we're trying to get peace. They're out of control. No, Israel is total control. It's the opposite. They're not out of control. Israel is total control. It's the control head. It's the head of the snake. You have to chop it off. You see? If they chop the head off of Israel, it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's all. I'm just saying, if the Iranians chop that head off, let's see what happens to the rest of the snake. If I'm wrong, right? Let's just say I'm wrong. You say, listen, dog. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're totally wrong. Okay. If Iran chopped the head off that snake, what happens to the rest of them? What will the rest of them motherfuckers do? You think they just gonna walk away? Like Trump said, they just got fight it out. You think that's true? Fuck no. They try to say, well, we're not involved. How are you not involved when all of the weapons come from the United States? They're using satellites, weapons, everything from the U.S. Why do you think everybody hasn't jumped their ass right now? Why do you think Egypt, Syria, Turkey, Lebanon, Gaza, West Bank, etc., and all the motherfuckers that don't like them hasn't jumped Israel right now? That they done fucked over in that area. Why you think that is? And they say, well, we're not involved. It's because the white people from Europe and America threatened them and told them, listen, stay out of it. If you don't stay out of it, then we're going to bomb your countries. That's why. Because if not, they would have bombed it. They would have jumped in it. The only ones jumped in it, who jumped in it? We know who that is. If you've been watching shit, you know who the wild boys of the party is. They just drink beer and pop missiles. Oh, that would be Yemen. They don't give a shit about nobody. They ain't scared of nobody. They some of the toughest, roughest, rumbling motherfuckers I ever seen. They ain't scared of no fucking body. Not the U.S., not Israel, not nobody. They'll fight. They beat the shit out of Saudi Arabia, quiet as a cat. For 10 years straight, they whipped their ass with sandals on. I watched it. Some of the fightingest motherfuckers I ever seen in Yemen. You gotta salute these dudes. They put foot to ass, period. No talking. They put foot to ass, period. You fuck with them. And they'll fight. Maybe they'll fight till they run out of bullets, and then they'll throw the gun at you. Them type. And then they'll run at you with a sharp stick. I mean, these are the type of motherfuckers the Yemenis is. Period. They don't want to hear it. They like, we'll stop when you stop or we dead. You gotta respect that. They was the only ones jumped in it and started shooting at the motherfucking Israelis. When Iran started shooting, the Yemenis said, fuck it. Bang, bang, they started shooting. We got your back, son. Don't worry about it. That's how it's supposed to be. When I was, you know what I mean, you on the street or whatever, I grew up on, that's how it's supposed to be. If a nigga fuck with you, they fuck with me. You my man. You family. If they fuck with you, they fucking with me if I can get to them. That's how that go. So the Yemenis had their back, right? But everybody else stood down. Everybody stood down for now. So this shit gonna get aired out at this point. I don't see nothing but escalation now. And the Russians, they gonna step out of it. I think the Russians, they're gonna abandon the Iranians. Just like they abandoned the Syrians. I think they worried about the Europeans coming at them. And they want to focus on that. And they like, look, we really gotta back off, you know what I mean? Maybe we can offer you some intelligence support and shit like that. But, we got to really, other than that, some soft support. But, as far as intelligence and shit like that. But we really got to back off because we got to focus on, getting decapitated over here in Ukraine, through Ukraine. I watched the psychic report. This guy from Poland, I like him. He's a clairvoyant psychic from Poland. He said that too, and I agree with him. That Russia they're gonna leave Iran. They're not gonna get in it. They're not gonna defend them. But the Chinese, I believe, will. I believe the Chinese gonna back them up militarily. And you'll know once the Chinese send some ships. When the Chinese send some warships over there to that Gulf, near, with some heavy artillery, then we know that it's really going down. But it's going to be a bloody fight. Like Bob Marley said, a lot of people going to die. Many will die. Many of us will die all over the place. Because while this World War III situation is really heating up, it's going to be civil war in America sparked by the immigration raids. I was talking to a guy from LA, and he made the hell of a point. He made some interesting points. He said, if they don't back off of the immigration, particularly in places like LA, he said there's only two choices of what's going to happen. They're going to back off because of the protests, tuck their tail and go home, or they're going to press the line. He said if they press the line in places like LA, which he was saying like you got cartel and gangs and all that shit dug into the government, into the police, and into the military out there. He said you're going to see, all hell break loose out there. So it's going to start in Cali. And I believe that. It's going to start in like Cali, maybe like Chicago, Cali, shit like that. That's where the whole... See, the Civil War is not going to look like... Before we get hit with the World War, it's going to be the Civil War in the U.S., but it's going to get sparked that way. And I think he's right, the guy from L.A. I think these white people, man, they're going to get mad and say, nah, we're not just going to tuck tail. Like he was like, I think they're going to tuck tail and stop all the immigration shit and walk away. I don't think so. I think they're going to you know, take it personally, and you know, like it's a pride thing, and they gonna press the line out, and they gonna wind up sparking some shit. Cause you know what I'm saying, it gotta be like a trigger for that kind of thing. And that's the only, when he said that, I was like, bing, a light came on. I was like, yeah, you right. But you wrong about they gonna back off. I doubt very seriously they gonna back off. They gonna press the line. And so you're gonna see that shit spark. Heavy. You know what I mean? The protest gonna escalate. And then it's gonna get into conflict. Like he was saying, like, expect that you're gonna have people coming up, them bringing people up from, you know what I mean, Tijuana up through there and all, you know what I mean? And they, you know, troublemakers, basically. You know what I'm saying? Some of them wild cats that's down there with the cartel, you know, doing all that wild shit, they gonna bring them up and start, you know, letting them, you know, setting them off. And shit like that. And I was like, oh yeah? He was like, yeah. Right. He was the manager of a restaurant where I was working at. And he's from out there. And I said, damn, this dude is on point. Because it sound right. What he was saying to me, I said, damn, that sound about right. Everything he was saying, he was breaking that shit down. Mind you, he didn't look like that type of dude that really was red pilled like that and was, you know, dug in, but he was from out there. He grew up out there. And so, you know what I mean? Don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Kind of chubby dude or whatever. But he was, you know, he was on point. You could tell he was smart, you know what I mean? But yeah, so anyway, back to the situation in Iran. And so yeah, this shit is about to pop. And it's gonna pop all over the place. But I'm gonna say this in my rap, you know, and there is only, and like these people that keep talking about there has to be a peaceful diplomatic resolution are wrong. That's wrong. Israel has to be strategically defeated. I mean, these people are a threat to the whole planet. I mean, they just are. They the head of the snake. And to dismantle that whole thing, or to start to, you gotta chop the head off the snake. And that's the head of the snake. That's the synagogue of Satan. That's that chief house of Satan is in Israel. Then it spreads out around the world from there to the United States, to the European Union. This is a Nazi, white supremacist, racist, Nazi cabal headed up by Israel. Satanic cabal. And at the head of that is Satan, who is definitely not human. You see? That's why he encourages them to kill 200,000 people in Gaza. They don't give a fuck about nobody. And neither do they, or they would have stopped them. They would have stopped them. You telling me they couldn't stop them from doing, Israelis from doing what they did to them people? The European Union and the United States couldn't stop them. They could have stopped them like that. You know it and I know it. They could have stopped their ass with the flick of a switch. They ain't trying to stop them because they're doing what they want them to do. Stupid. They work for them. They're all working together. It's a coalition of the willing to kill the Gazans, the genocide the Gazans, the bomb the Iranians, the bomb the Syrians, the bomb Libya, North Africa. Right? It's a coalition of the willing to do these things. They're not doing it in a vacuum by themselves. It's just an illusion that they create of, oh yeah, we don't support that kind of thing. We want peace, whatever. Look what Donald Trump did to the Iranians. He rocked their ass to sleep. And then what happened the next day? The Israelis bombed their ass while they was thinking they was going to get a peace deal. He tricked the shit out of them. He winked at the Israelis, told them, called them up, told them, yeah, we're going to peace deal. Come on. Don't worry about it. Chill out. Everything cool. And then boom, some real gangster shit. And then had them stab him right in the back. You think that's a coincidence? You stupid. These people are the synagogue of Satan. All of them working together. The European Union, they just parts of the snake. Israel's just the head, pushing an agenda. Why do you think they got gay marriage and, gay pride festivals in Tel Aviv? We're in, God chosen people. Where in the Bible do it tell you to have gay pride festivals and wave rainbow flags? I'm just saying, right? Regardless of what you believe. If you read the Bible, you never read that in the Bible. It's the opposite. So none of it, according to what's written in books and logic, none of it makes sense. Unless you know the truth. Revelations 2 and 9. Right? Unless you know the truth. Then it makes total sense. But if you go with it as it's being presented to you, it makes no sense. And so you have to understand they have to be strategically if the world for the save, as the Bible said, I'm gonna quote the Bible where he said, if I didn't shorten these times, then no flesh shall be saved. If something doesn't, if Israel is not strategically defeated, then no flesh shall be saved. You see? Because then you're going to see a speeding up of the destruction of the people of God. The true people of God, right? The real 12 tribes. The real Semites. You're going to see a speeding up of the degradation and the destruction and the discrimination against the real 12 tribes. The organic bloodlines of the earth. Because this is an effort to replace them with a bunch of hybrids. They're burning the sun. Right? Do plants really burn in the sun generally? Or do they get light from the sun? Melanin, plants, chlorophyll, right? If you burning in the sun, that means you probably wasn't created under this sun in that sense. That's a whole nother talk, right? That might be too deep for y'all on this one. So we had to jump down that rabbit hole on another one. Well, I've already been down there. You can check some of my other content. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this, but yeah, they have to be strategically defeated, right? Or there will be an acceleration to the end of us all. These people, I believe what he said, it's a prophecy in the Bible. These people are the end of the world. You see? These people are satanic and are the end of the world. You gotta understand that. And there can't be no, it's not gonna be no negotiating with them. Just watch. Just watch. Even if the Iranians try to get a peace deal with them, it's not gonna work. They just did it. What the fuck? You just saw what happened. If you read the newspaper or you watching the news, you just saw what happened when Donald Trump set him up and stabbed him in the back and this whole fake peace shit. And then they bombed the ass, tried to bomb the ass, right? To make them think it was going to be peace, and then we turn around and bomb them. Try to decapitate the whole government. So it ain't like I'm making this shit up. I mean, Jesus Christ, right? It's right in front of your face. They're not gonna make they're not gonna make a peace deal with them. They want them gone, and they want like the Shah or somebody back in charge is gonna do what they tell them to do. Iran has the biggest natural gas field in the world. I don't know if people know that. Not to mention huge oil reserves. They want control over everything. They're not just that, they don't want anybody opposing their order. You see? Like the Iranians, they don't like a whole lot of gay marriage. They don't like no gay marriage in Iran. They don't like no transsexuals in Iran. They love gays and transsexuals in America and in Israel and in the European Union. You see? Starting to make sense? Satan. Notice that they probably got universal health care. I haven't checked, but they probably got universal health care in Iran. I think they do. You ever notice that kind of shit? Like they go places like Libya. If you got, like, we don't like homosexuals and transsexuals, all that rainbow bullshit, and we got universal health care, right? And we got good schools, and then boom, here they come bombing the place. You're a terrorist, and then they bomb your place. You ever notice that about them? Every place they bomb is like they don't like trannies and homos, and they got universal health care and free college, and they bomb it. But where you live at is totally fucked with a bunch of homos and, you know, hostile racist immigrants and all kinds of shit going on. High cost of living, fucked up health care. People assassinating the head of United Health because he fucking people over. But you don't know there's nothing going on because you smart. You're a smart person. So all that shit go over your head. You ain't got time for that. I got time for that. You bringing me, you depressing me. Right? I got to tie on a Mexican flag and grab me a Trans Lives Matter sign and run down the block and join a protest with a bunch of racist immigrants. Get out of my way, nigga. Anyway, I'm going. On that note, listen, I'm gone. I'm going to leave it there. That's all I got.